Okay, so I've literally just got this ready to, I've plugged it in, haven't turned it on yet. Don't even know how it works, to be fair. So radio on, medium wave, we got more chance of that. Volume, okay, got earth hum when we plug that in. So let's have a look, tune it. Yeah, I'm just getting earth hum off of that. I must be missing something somewhere. Okay, so crackly switch. So it sounds like the radio is not even working at the moment. There we go. I think I'll put the aerial up, but all that'll do is give us better reception, but ultimately we still need a signal. So I think sounds like that needs a clean. Get this in the scale where we might find something as well. Oh, so nothing much happening on the radio, so we'll come back to that. Yeah, it's really not doing much at all at the moment. Okay, let's try the tape player. So it ejects okay, and we'll put a tape in and play. And there's nothing there at all. Yeah, stop. Rewind works. Hello. Yeah, so fast forward doesn't really work. Now it's crackling and messing about. So yeah, we'll have a look. There's a few things to sort out on this, and let's see if we can take it apart and give it a bit of a clean. You can hear from the static now as we do this. Just started to try and find a bit of a signal very quickly, and I've noticed that this switch is not just crackly, but it's actually quite loose. And you can hear a signal, and then when I put this through there, yeah, so the volume's there, so the amplifier works okay. It looks like this switch is super loose. There might be a broken connection inside, maybe a dry joint, or hopefully the switch mounting in itself isn't loose, or maybe there's a dry joint or loose connection actually if it's soldered directly onto the board. So hopefully should be a fairly easy fix. The tape player seems to work fine. The only thing is with it rewinds fine, stops and plays okay, but it also, when you fast forward it doesn't hold it down. I'm not sure if it's supposed to or not. I know some of these didn't actually use the lock in place, so perhaps we'll have a look at that mechanism whilst we're in there, see if anything is stuck or whether it's supposed to be like that. So here we are then, let's have a look at this. And first thing we'll do is try and sort the volume out. I think the volume issue is really related to this slightly ropey switch there. So the first thing we'll do is take the 4 screws out of there, and in fact there may even be, he says, hopefully a 5th screw inside, which indeed there is. So always be mindful when you're taking the back off of these old units. You'll generally find, here we go, there's a loose screw. So somebody's been in here before. Hopefully it's not a complete box of horrors inside, but we'll soon find out, I guess. So ordinarily I'd say keep the screws separate so you know where they are, where they're from. But I'm just checking as I do this, and all 4 are indeed the same, so that's okay. Right, will that come off now? Yeah, I'm going to take this one out of the battery compartment just in case. And that's a slightly different one because that's just a little machine screw, so that's fine. Okay, that seems fairly loose now, so I'm just going to unpick this. And yep, that's come off in one piece, and let's just see what's inside. Whether or not we can get to the switches is another question. So we'll take a closer look now. So a couple of things then. As I took the back off, I did find these broken little pieces here, which explains why one of them was loose when I undid it. I think it's been knocked or dropped or something. So they'll bond back in. These bits of plastic, always keep them, because you'd be surprised. They're normally clean breaks and you can put them back together okay. Right, couple of things. So the belt itself there for the cassette drive is a little bit loose, but it was still working, and we might let sleeping dogs lie depending on whether we restore this. I must admit, I'm quite tempted to nick this speaker out from my little vintage JVC 8220 that needs a new speaker, but we'll see. Basically though, this is the shonky switch down there. It's loose, but it's under the board for the ferrite rod and everything else. So I think what I'm going to do is undo the screws at the bottom, which will allow me to get the transformer out, move that to one side out of the way, potentially, or at least for now. We'll also get these screws out. Tricky, because I'm not sure if some of these on the board need to come out separately, whether we've got to get the ferrite rod out or whether we can take the assembly out in one go. So let's have a look at that. So the first thing, I'm going to go for the purple ones. I'm hoping that these purple coloured ones are there to tell us that these are the ones that hold the board into the casing, as they're colour coordinated. Right, so they are different. So we'll make a note of that. One of them's a machine screw, which is the one from the top there. And then these are plastic screws. Right, let's have a look. Right, now. Aha, good news. Sort of good news. Okay, let's just take the pressure off of this wiring loom a moment. Now, it's good news and it's bad news. We've got to be super careful now because of the coil wires from the radio. That's okay. I thought one was broken then. No, we're okay. Right, basically, these are soldered and not very long either. So, potentially the good news was that we'd be able to get this out. Bad news is, it appears as though the wires are getting in each other's way, and we may need to take the cassette mechanism out as well. So we'll keep an eye on that for a minute. I'm just going to drop this transformer out real quick. So this will also just give us better access for what it is. What's quite nice as well is these are all colour coordinated, so we'll know where they're from. And again, these will just be little machine screws holding the transformer chassis. Come here. There we go. And that one for luck. The bottom one is actually the aerial retaining one, so we'll leave that for a moment. So we should be able to get the transformer assembly out, like so, which gives us a little bit more room at least. Okay, so we're going to try and do this if we can, and I think the first thing we'll do is just move, well actually I think I'm just going to remove this cable guide just for a little while, and again just keep everything together. I've got a little egg box here which I just use for keeping the parts separate. And then the only other thing I think is potentially this white lead here. If I can get that to one side. One moment. I normally use a cocktail stick or something like that, but let's just try this, because I'm hoping if we can get this mechanism out where it is, And just be careful, don't force these things. Yeah, see, we've got the other cable tied there as well, which is a bit frustrating. So we'll get that one out. We'll get that one out as well. Okay, so being super careful not to damage the aerial leads there. The one issue with this particular model is that actually so many of the leads are soldered in place, so there's no spade connector to actually detach any of these. And yes, whilst it's not the end of the world, we can always put, you know, solder and resolder and stuff, but ideally we don't want to if we don't have to. So okay, so there's the loose switch. Weirdly, it's not that loose. I think, do you know what? I think that retainer had just fixed it in place actually. Yeah, that's all it is. So hang on. So we'll get that in place and screwed down. So all that remains now is to get in there and try and give these all a bit of a clean with some switch cleaner whilst we're at it, and we should be in business. So I'm just going to work some switch cleaner in here. Obviously that's more of a mechanism than a switch per se, but that will operate on the other side. But we just want to, that's it, just get in there, clean the contact, and then hopefully the opposite side, which is this one, whilst it's greased, whilst the mechanism is greased, it's actually the slide, well, it's actually the slider. Just took that rubber piece off, I can go back in a minute. It's actually the slider that's dirty, and it's the contacts inside that cause the issue. So we'll just get some cleaner down inside that track there. And that should make things a lot easier. So we'll just peg this down with one screw for a second. And the isolator for the speaker in there. Okay, so hopefully we should be back in business. Okay, so we've just screwed one board screw back in just to hold it for a moment. And I'm going to try and clean inside through a kind of capillary action inside these switches. It's not that easy, to be honest. Going to do what we can to try and just get in there and clean them. So we'll plug it in. Let's see what we've got. Okay, so we should be in business. We've now got power back on and radio on. And tune, medium wave. Okay, I just reassembled it, I realised in my haste to clean the mechanisms and secure the loose switch there, I'd also forgotten to actually clean, whilst I lubed this part, didn't actually clean the switch that it acts on. So if we're just careful and move this out of the way, the switch itself, of course, to switch between the radio and the tape is actually in here. So this is where the static is coming from, and this is where the intermittent switch issue is from. Because what's happening is you hold it in a certain place and then you get the full volume. And as soon as you move away from that, it dies again. So I'm going to try and get to it from underneath, like this. Worst case scenario, we can actually always take the whole tape mechanism and stuff out as well. As I said, I'm trying to let sleeping dogs lie as best as I can. So I don't really want to take the tape mechanism out unless I need to. These pots are working cleanly without any crackle or anything, so that's good now. And the belt itself is kind of okay. It's certainly good enough as a functioning tape for now. So I wasn't going to take this all apart unless I needed to. So let's just get this back in and see if we can get it working. Okay, so we're pretty much there, I think. I'm turned to the radio anyway. So the switch has been cleaned inside. Let's have a look. So if we...
Yeah, I think he was just trying to indicate that he wanted...
So the volume's working nice and smooth.
Hand side, because that's difficult for him to try and wrap
tone
around
works.
the ball. That might have been the accusation.
And in terms of
Crystal
tuning...
Palace nil.
I can write them in a book or in a newspaper.
So it's only medium wave, and good luck trying to find anything on shortwave. However,
Liverpool take on Manchester City, and there's games
anyways,
in the Championship.
there we go. So that's okay, that's sorted that at least. So thanks very much indeed for watching.